And my key focus would be on the major urban cities like Karachi and Lahore and other parts of Pakistan. Urbanization is not a new phenomena in modern history. History has had gone through the process of urbanization since not years and centuries but millenniums. And this part of the world, which we call South Asia, had also a long tradition of having cosmopolitan cities or big cities since ancient times. And Mohenjo-daro and Texila and Harappa and many other parts of this region are a few examples. But I think the process of urbanization in its modern sense was expedited during the British period, though it was a colonial era, but even the British colonial government laid foundations of many institutions and traditions in this part of the world, and I think urbanization was also one of those phenomena. When we talk about urbanization in Pakistan, Pakistan started its journey with mass migration from India to Pakistan, and almost 6.4 million people migrated from today's India to then Pakistan. And I think this mass migration also impacted Pakistan in the sense that Karachi, which was a city of merely zero point 0.4 million population before partition, it has become one of the biggest cities in the world. And so, and if we look at the dynamics of urbanization in Pakistan or in South Asia or anywhere in the world, I think mass migrations have played significant role in establishing urbanization and establishing urban centers, and same happened in Pakistan as well. Currently in Pakistan, we have, according to the 2011 interim census, we have approximately 18 million population in Pakistan. And out of this 18 million population, some 38% of the population live in the urban areas of Pakistan. And there are some demographic reports which claim that in coming few years, for example, by 2025, 50% of the population of Pakistan would be living in urban areas. And some reports show, I went through one report released by the Woodville Center, and that says that by 2030, Pakistan will have 300 million population. And by 2050, maybe the population would be 450 million. So we can sense that when the population grows, the urbanization process also goes on. And Pakistan is one of the countries in South Asia that has 3% urbanization ratio, which is the largest ratio in the South Asia. That 3% per annum increase in the urbanization is the ground reality. In Pakistan, on one hand, we see that urbanization has brought many positive traditions like cosmopolitan society and new professions, new markets, job opportunities for the people, and maybe private sector, open markets, educational institutions. But on other hand, the urbanization in Pakistan has become very complex because of various reasons. And one of the reasons is that the intra-provincial migrations and intra-nation migrations, inter-provincial migrations have significantly impacted this process. And that has also caused conflicts between communities and among the communities in the big cities. And Karachi is a unique example of that phenomena, that we find not only competing narratives, competing and conflicting interests, but sometimes also highly violent means of reclaiming power in spaces in urban life. In Pakistan, the urban cities, by and large, face fundamental challenges like public transportation remains a big issue in Pakistan. Access to safe drinking water remains a big issue in Pakistan, as you also talked about the governance issues in New Delhi. The poor quality of civic amenities being offered to the citizens remains a big issue in Pakistan. And shelter, I can give you a few examples that in Pakistan, some in urban areas, there are reports that 40% of the youth in urban areas, 41% are jobless. And 62% population in urban areas of Pakistan, they don't have homes. So either they rent out homes or even major population of the lower middle class people and even lower strata, they live in slum areas. Only 34% of the population in urban areas in Pakistan, they have access to safe drinking water. And some reports show that 59% population in urban areas, they have access to health facilities. So we can imagine the scenario that how the larger sections of populations are facing numerous, enormous problems in urban life in Pakistan. WHO report that was made public last year, which says that in Karachi, only in Karachi, some 30,000 people die annually out of this contaminated water issue. Karachi, for example, which is not only the biggest city of Pakistan, but one of the biggest cities in the world in this region. Karachi is the only mega city in the world which is without a rail-based mass transit system, and that has caused mess in Karachi because of the lack of the facilities in transportation. And other issue that the whole city is sprawled across slum areas and kachi abadis. And if you visit those slums or kachi abadis, we won't find health facilities, education facilities, or nice roads, or any civic amenity that matters in urban life. A few more things in Pakistan regarding this issue that, as I told you earlier, that Karachi, for example, in Karachi, some reports say that Karachi has 3.8 million illegal immigrants living there. And the state or the governments, they do not have any record of those illegal immigrants. And during the Afghan war, some 2.2 million Afghan refugees migrated to Karachi, and same happened, not at that scale, but even the migration from Gujarat and Rajasthan, that was a regular practice that people did migrate from India to Pakistan, even from Bangladesh. So Karachi has emerged as not only as a big city, but the city where we find violent conflicts among various competing communities, and that has become a big issue. Recently in Pakistan, during last couple of years, because of the climate change, we went through 3 floods and disasters, and that also caused mass migration from various parts of the province of Sindh to Karachi, and Karachi became overburdened. And even now, when the operation in the FATA and FANA and many parts of the northern areas, it goes on, so it has also caused migration of the local people and communities to the urban centers, mainly in Karachi. Now the second aspect of this talk, that this is a scenario, this is a situation that people face in urban areas. But what about the possible solution? I think, unfortunately, in Pakistan, we did not practice local government system since the inception. And even though when this system was experienced or implemented or introduced, that was done by dictators. In 1959, the system was introduced by Ayub Khan. And the way Ayub Khan exploited the system to secure his position in the system, that caused a bad image for the system. And again in 1979, during Ziaul's era, the system was introduced, and it was highly centralized local government system where the center, the federation, had all the powers in their hands to run the whole business of the local governments. And in 2001, again, Pervez Musharraf introduced this system, and which also became a source of conflict. So what is my suggestion at the end of this talk, that in Pakistan in 2010, we had a constitutional amendment, 18th constitutional amendment in the constitution. And now, according to this amendment, now which is part of the constitution, under Article 140A, local government system has become obligatory for the provinces, that they are now bound to go for elections and experience the system. So I think this amendment has created an opportunity for the provinces to implement this system at grassroots level. And I'm sure that since this year Supreme Court has issued a verdict that the governments are supposed to do elections, so maybe by October or September some provinces may go for the elections. So I think that the only solution that could work for the good governance in Pakistan, especially to improve the quality of life in urban areas, is to lay the foundations of local government system, because Pakistan is a federation by virtue of its constitution. And being a federation, because in federations, the local government system is considered as the prerequisite or the foundation or the third tier of the system. So I think that by implementing and experiencing the local government system in Pakistan, it would work to improve the quality of services in urban areas. And the last point, that how civil society can play a significant role. I think though it's a political matter, and the local government system is now a provincial subject, but even though I think civil society of Pakistan has an enormous space to make a difference by constructing a discourse and making people feel about the significance of the system. This could be done by civil society. And in Pakistan, like many South Asian countries, the mainstream political parties are more into rhetoric. They give less importance to the real issues that people face on ground. I think civil society can construct a discourse where the real issues of society could be highlighted, and that could be a space for. Third thing, that research could be done, because in Pakistan and countries like ours, we don't find substantial research culture. So I think if the NGOs or think tanks, if they would do research on the issues that people face in urban areas, that could also help parliamentarians. Civil society can come up with some alternative solutions to improve the quality of services in urban areas, to resolve or manage or prevent the conflicts among the various communities, and to combat with these violent tendencies that we see in urban areas. So I think coming up with some alternative solutions could also be one of the way out. And common platforms. I think Pakistan has become a fragile society. Pakistan is a country where even people don't celebrate Eid together. And so in a country where society is so diverse and fragile, I think civil society can play a significant role by establishing common platforms for the citizens, for the people to exhibit their civic courage and to find solutions for their problems. And the strength that the civil society can have, that in urban areas, in Pakistan, we find very vibrant civil society in media. So I think capitalizing or exploiting the mainstream media or such opportunities would really work. So by and large, I end here that in Pakistan, the local government system could be the only viable and sustainable solution to deliver to the people, to make democracy not only procedural, but make it responsive democracy that could deliver to the people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tommy. I'm sorry to have rushed you. The Deputy Minister has to leave for another meeting, and given that it's his first month and a half in office, we don't want him to be late.
Tomorrow I have to present budget also in my question.
You have to present budget. So do you have time for one question before you leave, or do you need to have, maybe if,
I'm sure the one question can be from each and every corner of this house. So my only request is, as I have promised, I already promised, I mean, I was not scheduled to come here day before yesterday when we met Shari. I would like to leave, but I am leaving my email with you, and I would be happy to answer all your questions on email, whatever you think, and whatever you suggest, we'll like to learn from that. But since I had this commitment till 3 o'clock only, I have to leave, I have to go for, because the people for next meeting are just waiting for me outside. They're sending me text message, sir, please come out,
okay.
We're getting late.
Okay.
So I'm so sorry, but on email, I'll definitely answer all your email, all your questions. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. We still have a great panelist here, and we have a few minutes, and I know some of you had your hands up, so I'm going to start over here, and then we'll go to the left. So, Madam.
Yes, in the Philippines, we've also had journalists go into politics and get elected as officials with very mixed results. And I was wondering, with the background that you've brought in also to your public service career, if you can speak about the role of a press and the media, basically, in engaging citizens so that they can play a more constructive role. You were talking about constructing a discourse wherein then in a huge mega city where you have diverse communities trying to live together and trying to work with government or not trying to work with government, how you might see this with your own experience as well. Moving forward, because I believe, being a journalist myself, that media and the free press in democracies in Asia needs to make certain adjustments to make it more dynamic as an instrument for democratization. And I wonder if you might tell us what you think.
Thank you for the question. I think in Pakistan now we have a very vibrant and independent media. But since the mainstream media is more corporate, so sometimes it does not focus the real issues that people face in urban areas, like this street crime, the lack of adequate civic amenities, or the mafias working in the cities and fighting each other and causing threat to the life of the people. But in Pakistan, I think there's one more aspect of media, that the social media has emerged like a phenomena. And sometimes on many issues, social media is more vibrant and more effective than the so-called mainstream corporate media. And in Pakistan, especially in my province, the province that I belong to, Sindh province, luckily we have very effective, vibrant local media in local languages. And now this trend is spreading because we now see local TV channels in Balochistan, even in Punjab, even in KPK and various parts of Pakistan. So I think this social media and local media or the alternative media institutions together creates an opportunity for civil society to mainstream the issues and voice the people's concerns.
Thank you. From Hong Kong.
I want to learn from our Karachi friend. What does he think is the best mode of cooperation between NGOs and political parties? Because in many Asian cities, there's a lot of tension between NGOs and political parties. NGOs think that they are idealistic. They think that political parties and politicians often make use of them for electoral purposes and so on. So there is a lot of tension, distrust, and yet, of course, NGOs need political parties for policy initiatives. My second question is actually directed at our Delhi friend. I'm sure his colleague will take this down. My question is, how do new parties survive? Naturally, when established parties are seen to be corrupt, incompetent, voters turn to new parties, new or independent candidates. This happened in Delhi. It just happened at the end of last year in Taipei. It occasionally happens in Tokyo and Osaka. But these new parties and independent candidates normally do not survive. So what makes the difference? How can they survive? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think political parties in Pakistan, like many other countries, by and large, are not comfortable with many NGOs because of their critical consciousness and critical